Today, we're going to be talking about how one seemingly small decision can change your life forever and have effects that essentially last for the rest of your life. So, welcome back to the channel, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. As I said there in the intro a minute ago, today I'm going to be talking about how even seemingly small decisions can impact your life for years, if not generations to come. Let me mute my phone real quick. Including something as simple as, should I leave my hometown? Should I take a job in a new city, in a new place where I don't know anybody? And I keyed in on those specifically because I have done those things. And often I wonder, what would my life look like? Who would I be? Where would I be if I made one small, seemingly insignificant decision way back when? Let's say 10 years ago, 12 years ago. For me, I think about specifically, what if I stayed in my very small town where I grew up? There would be limited job opportunities. It would probably feel like the safest thing I could do, right? Staying in my hometown, it's comfortable. I know the people, but there's not a lot of opportunity. I ended up, and if you've been on the channel for a while, you'll know, I ended up working in software sales, as an account manager. Talking to all these different companies, working remotely, closing deals, running and facilitating sales cycles, right, and kind of quarterbacking these accounts. And I had no idea what any of that was, even what software as a service even was. When I was 18 and graduating high school in my small town. And I often think, if I didn't take a risk, if I didn't leave my small town to go to a much larger college across the state, basically, if I didn't join the military at 17, what would my life look like today? I mean, I think, candidly, and I'm just kind of imagining here, I think it would be much worse. I don't think I would have the income, the pay opportunities, the relationships, or the connections to really put together a meaningful and significant life, which I think I have done here today, in this larger city across the state that I actually do live in, right? So I did make those decisions to join the military at 17, to go to different states for training in places I had never been, to do hard things, and to go to a college I had never seen or visited before, right? I didn't scope it out at all. I just showed up on the day when the semester started, and boom, there I was. I didn't have any pre-existing connections or relationships there, and I kind of just had to settle into my dorm and figure it out. And while that was scary and difficult and challenging, especially coming from a really small community, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm relatively happy with my life, if I didn't take those risks and make that jump. And I think the point I'm trying to drive home is, really consider the follow-on effects, if you will, of each major life decision you're making. It might be something similar to what I mentioned, where it's like, where should I go to college, right? Where should I decide to live? Should I move to that medium-sized city or that large city that I've never been to before, that I don't know anything about? Should I join the military? Should I travel the world? Should I go to a different country? All of these things are going to have major follow-on effects down the road. And I think it's important to also push yourself outside of your comfort zone if you want to kind of achieve real results, right? You're not going to get, in simple terms, I don't think you're going to get things you've never had before by doing things you've always done, right? You have to do things you have never done before to get extraordinary results that you've never had. And again, there's going to be some risk there. There's going to be fear, which I think is natural. But the important thing at the end of the day is to really consider and analyze these different paths you could go down. Really take a look at it, sit down. I would say sketch out the pros and the cons, because in a lot of ways I think I'm naturally risk averse, you know. I didn't know what I was getting into with the military. It massively pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it would have been really easy and safe and secure to just say no to that, or I'll find another way to pay for college. I don't want to go to Fort Benning, Georgia and get the shit kicked out of me for 3 months, right? And suffer and wake up at 4 a.m. and get 3 hours of sleep, right? It would have been really easy to kind of play it safe and stay in that small town. But when I look back on my life, now that I'm a little bit older, and I'm 30 for the record, when I look back at all of those decisions I made, especially between 18 and 24, those were the most impactful, life-changing decisions that I ended up making to this day, right? Where to live, what type of jobs to take, getting involved in SaaS, moving to different parts of the state that I had never been to before, where I didn't know anybody. Those were the key game-changing decisions that I was fearful of. And when I reflect back, I think they definitely paid off. So I put this kind of out there to say, if you are in that 18 to let's say 25 range, and you're looking at your life trying to figure out, what exactly do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to get out of life? I think you should establish your goals first. Actually have a path, right? These markers you want to hit, something you're aiming towards, right? Because you don't want to just aim wanderously, right? That's how you waste your 20s. Pick out a few things that you want to achieve or accomplish. For example, it could be something as simple as, I want to make 100 grand annually, or 150, whatever it might be for you, and I want to make that number in gross annual revenue by the time I'm 25, or I want to have a house by the time I'm 28. I want to find my spouse, my forever partner by the time I'm 26. Or maybe you want to settle down and have a family by a certain age. Have those things charted out in those key years, right? As soon as possible, but ideally, have one or two of those goals that you definitely want on your roadmap by the time you're 18 to let's say 20, and then start making the actual moves to get to that end goal, right? So actually create a plan and go after it, and it's probably going to involve you doing something you've never had to do before, something that's scary and challenging. Like I said, moving to a new city, applying for an industry or a type of work that you've never done before, and that's okay. I think the point is, when I think back on all of those key decisions that I made, my life would be dramatically different, probably for the worse, if I didn't take any of those risks and move to those different places, try those new things, meet those different people. Even though there was a lot of fear and trepidation there, the right move, now in hindsight is very clear, was to take that risk, to move to that different location, to go to a place you've never been before, to start working in a field or industry that I have no experience in, right? Because you're not going to, I know one thing for certain, you're not going to move forward and achieve your goals, whatever they might be, by staying in the same place and doing the same thing that you've always done, right? You need to establish new growth, new habits, and different thought processes if you're going to kind of get to that next level for you, whatever it might be. So I think at the end of the day, my message would be, think carefully about what you want to accomplish, what type of life you want to live. Make sure your goals are clear. Lock on to those 1 to 3 goals and start taking those risks, those calculated risks. Move to a different place, start that new job, do that new thing that you want to do. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be scared. You're going to have doubts and fear and regret. But again, nothing worth doing, nothing worth getting, nothing worth earning will ever be easy. And I think anyone who's lived for a while will have their own proof of that and will tell you the same thing. So take calculated risks, take a run at it, do your best, and make it happen. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you coming back to the channel if you're a returning viewer to the debrief. And if you're a new person, thanks so much for stopping by. I would really appreciate you sharing this video with a friend or family member, someone who you think would get something of value out of this. And I appreciate every single subscriber. Have a great rest of your week and good luck.